Good morning, students, or good evening, or good afternoon, depending on when you are. But hey, guess what? It's time for another day of 8th grade science here at ACE Academy. So, as we do this, once again, we find ourselves with the split screen with me in the corner and you guys staring at this map that says this is today's notes. So 8.E.1.2 estuaries, day 3, I can identify the estuaries that are in North Carolina. And so, in addition to estuaries being in North Carolina, you also have these things that are near behind me. If you see the thing behind me in the screen, it's a great white shark about to bite my head off. But funny though, just as a side fact, that great white sharks do love to accumulate off the coast of North Carolina. There's they have a tagging program that where they track a bunch of these things, and guess what? A lot of them report in from off the shore of North Carolina. So if you're ever, really wanting to know how many sharks are in the water off North Carolina on a given day, especially big ones, you can hit the great white tagging tracking program, and it'll show you how many great whites are currently sitting off the coast of North Carolina, and so you can use that information to make your decision on going in the water. But anyway, I digress. So today we're going to look at, down here, the first thing on the map here says I can identify estuaries in North Carolina. So this map right here shows Albemarle Sound. So if you notice, here's the line come across. This is the top border of North Carolina. That's Virginia up here. North Carolina down here. And when I slide over to Google Maps here, you'll see as we move around the map, here's the border between North Carolina and Virginia. So the first thing you run into is Albemarle Sound. And as we're going to see today, what we call back bay sounds are one of the larger description of estuaries. But Albemarle Sound is one. The Albemarle Sound is the oh, there we go. There's two major rivers that flow into the Albemarle Sound here. Both of them actually come from Virginia. Then you have the Pamlico Sound, which is the largest estuary in the state of North Carolina. Remember that. The Pamlico Sound, there's the name, P-A-M-L-I-C-O, Pamlico Sound, is the largest estuary in North Carolina. That's one of the things you need to know. A number of rivers flow into the Albemarle Sound, Pamlico River being one of them. The Neuse River is another. We're going to wander on down here. Cape Lookout. Zoom in a little bit more, Morehead City. I've actually flown an airplane to Morehead City. Bogue Sound here. I'm going to wander down here. Jacksonville, here's the New River. And there's the Marine Air Corps Station at New River. But this is the New River in Sydney, Stone Bay. This entire thing is a estuary. Here's where it joins the ocean. We're down the coast a little bit further, Topsail Beach, Figure Island, and we hit the Cape Fear River. And then we have the Cape Fear River estuary, which is this area right through here, where the Cape Fear River flows into the ocean. Get on down a little closer. Closer. You see all these little mini islands. This area is in here. They keep calling the center stream the river, but then you have all these banks and stuff. These are all grasslands. All these riverine grasses in areas where the river kind of wanders through, and you've got the shore, which is way over here and way over here, and then you have, I'd be willing to bet these are mangrove. And then you have the mud flat, tidal flats, that when a high tide comes in, water floods this area, producing tidal flats, and then when the water goes out, those are just standing areas of reeds. Well, I even call it right there a snow marsh. Those are marshes. Oak Island. As we zoom in closer, where this bridge comes over here, we can see again all this area back in here. So here's the inner coast. There's a waterway that is always open. Then all this in here are mud flats, tidal flats. So at this picture time, when this picture was taken, you can actually almost see the water flowing that way, going towards the top of the screen by this right here. See how the water's going that way. So the tide must be going out in this picture. So all the water is drained from here because when it's high tide, this is all covered with water. I'm sure you find a picture of it at high tide. But anyway, so that's what happens when you have tide in areas. The intercoastal here, and then you have all these mud flats. And you can see where the people, they've built their docks all the way across that to get a dock out to where the water is. It's gonna, be up on a regular basis because only when the tide is in is the water up in here. So I dredged himself a little channel back into here to get to that particular thing. In those, but for those other people, you build these long dock to get from their shore land area out here to the water because when the tide's out, there's no water there. Coming back to our picture here. So going back to the Albemarle Sound here. So if you look at the list below, the estuaries of North Carolina is listed divided yet another way by describing the location of the estuary. So back barrier means it occurs behind a set of barrier islands. A trunk means occurs on the main flow of a large river, a trunk river. And tributary means that this occurs where a river that flows into another river. So in order for a tributary estuary to actually happen, remember estuaries are defined as having brackish water. So that means the trunk already has to be an estuary at that point because otherwise there would be no saline water when the tributary flows into the trunk river. There would be no salinity to create an estuary. And then in North Carolina, the big back barrier sounds are the Core Sound, Pamlico Sound, which is the largest. Again, remember, Pamlico Sound is the largest back barrier sound in North Carolina. The Roanoke Sound, Croatan Sound, the Currituck Sound. You have the Northern Trunk Estuaries, Albemarle Sound Estuary, the Pamlico River Estuary, and the Neuse River Estuary. So when you start looking at the Trunk River, where the Pamlico and the Neuse both flow into Pamlico Sound, but the Pamlico River itself's estuary is the trunk estuary. Then you have these southern back barrier sounds: Back Sound, Bogue Sound. I showed you that one. Stump Sound, Topsail Sound, Middle Sound, and Myrtle Sound. Obviously, Myrtle being Myrtle Beach, south of the. I guess we'd have to go back and look at the map. Let's see. Does Myrtle Sound extend all the way into North Carolina here? I'm going to say no, because Myrtle's Inlet. Unless they're calling something right here. Myrtle Sound, but what river is this? There's the Calabash River. So where the Calabash River right here flows into the Little River, you might say is a sound on North Carolina, but I don't think that. Let's erase this. That's what happens when you trust the internet. It puts things in there that you're just like, hey, wait a minute. When you finally read it again, you're going, Myrtle, that's Myrtle Beach, that's South Carolina. Anyway, so Southern Trunk Estuaries, North Estuary, Newport, White Oak River, New River, and Cape Fear River. Tributaries, Trent, Bath, Scuppernong, South River, Bay River, Pungo, Alligator, Pasquotank, and North River. So Pamlico Sound is North Carolina's largest estuary system, water drainage system from the eastern Carolina and southern Virginia. The Chowan, Roanoke, Pasquotank, Pamlico, and Neuse rivers flow into Pamlico Sound. These rivers carry waters from the marshes, swamps, forests, and grasslands. The estuaries in North Carolina are slightly unusual, and most depths do not exceed 30 feet. The shallow depth allows sunlight to penetrate all the way to the bottom, resulting in higher levels of plant growth. More plants give other animals habitat space, which is one of the reasons that the North Carolina estuary system plays an important role in the state's commercial and sport fishing industries. Because again, remember where estuaries are where some huge numbers of fish and other animals that we commercially harvest for food and other things originate. So it is a huge deal to have these sounds and these estuary areas here in North Carolina. So I'm going to play around here. Here's the Cape Fear River, which was the river that Wilmington is on. There's one estuary, but then you get up here to Bogue Estuary or Bogue Sound, Cape Lookout. Now we're in the Pamlico Bay Sound. If you go look at these towns that are along this, Pamlico Bay, Washington, these old towns, New Bern, these are all old fishing towns. Down here, I mean, they've, fishing boats. Fishing commercially is a huge thing in North Carolina. And so, Elizabeth City, huge fishing port. Elizabeth City Shipyard. Elizabeth City is also a place I've fun too. Huge Coast Guard station in Elizabeth City. United States Coast Guard station in Elizabeth City right there. Because the fishing in the Sound, some of the most amazing fishing you can do. Then you have the Atlantic Ocean right here, and this shallow, and you can see where the drop off is not that far off the coast. So the fish like to live, big fish live in here. They breed up in here. So that's why the difference between the Sound where the little fish are getting their chance at to start their lives well, and the fact that out here is where they live the rest of their big lives. It's a huge deal for North Carolina. So I mean that's why the Sounds are so important in our fishing industry here in North Carolina. So remember that Pamlico Sound, largest estuary area in North Carolina, and plays a huge role in our state's fishing and commercial industrial harvesting of sea life industry. Well, anyway, real short today, but you're going to have a quizzes on river basins and estuaries to do today, and then we'll start on the next thing. Go back to what water is about tomorrow. So we'll catch you guys on the flip side once again on Tuesday, and we'll see y'all later. Have a great day today.